Oh, okay. So good evening, everybody. So today we're going to discuss on bookkeeping for tax, right? This is basically going to be our major last topic discussion before we round up on Thursday, because Thursday is going to be our last class, right? So I'm going to encourage anyone if you have more questions. Uh, Also, feel free to DM me, right? Because after this, should I say this month now, I know that my obligation have been sorted out with this community, so to say. I know I owe you one or two things, one of which is the filing and all of those recommendations. I will try and do that and upload and share in the group before basically before this course is over, right? Like I said, the major challenge was the accounts I will use for that for the demo, because obviously you have to have those things there so that it's much more practical, right? So there are some accounts I've been able to get that I'll use for that demo. So hopefully, before the last class, which is on Thursday, I should have those videos available, right? Thank you, everybody, and let's basically just get straight into the business of the day. Okay, so we're going to talk about bookkeeping for tax, right? When you say bookkeeping is just another word for record keeping, right? But they say bookkeeping because bookkeeping makes it more niche. That's just saying, okay, you are bookkeeping simply refers to financial record keeping, right? So you're keeping a financial records for your business, right? So that is bookkeeping. So if you're keeping books with tax in mind, right? What do you need to do? What should you have at the forefront of your mind, right? So without further ado, we're going to get straight into it, right? The first thing you want to do is get your story straight, right? I know this is not a motivational this thing, but uh, every business has a story, right? Every business has a story, and this is not your founder story. This is basically your transaction story. What is your transaction? What do you do? What are your operations? Uh, so often, also many times, you probably maybe by the time you started business, you registered business as one thing, and condition can't happen. You are doing something else, right? Different things like that. Yeah, so you need to get your story straight because whatever story you're telling the tax man or whatever story about your transaction you're presenting might might be the difference between uh, plenty tax or very little tax. A very good example is somebody who has a real estate, right, and sells properties, and somebody who is an agent. They have two different stories. They are both in the real estate sector, but one earns by commission, while the other one earns from the full property, right? So both of them have different story entirely. So you want to make sure that whatever it is, however you're keeping your books, reflects the true story of your business, right? If clients are paying money through your account, example for a real estate person, and you do not separate, right, your commission from the total inflow, you will have a hard time proving to the taxman that you are not the owner of the property, and that is actually the reality of the game. So if you know from day one that, oh, okay, oh, I'm earning a commission basis, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, you want to be able to get that story straight, not just in front of the taxman, but how you also keep your records, so that when the time comes when you need to present these things, you will not be running helter and skelter. Like I always say, avoiding tax begins from planning. You should plan before they come. If you wait for them to come before you start getting ready to avoid tax, oh man, at the end of the day, you just be at the mercy of the tax man, right? To just be a thing of begging, begging, begging. Even if you will beg, right? As a thing of principle, there's one thing I always tell my clients. First thing you want to do, you want to understand what your liability is, because if you've ever received a tax letter, right, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you that they always make a lot of assumptions. It is now your responsibility. The burden of proof is on you to prove to them that no, those are assumptions are wrong. And the only way for you to do that is with record, right? Is with records. There's really no other way. So first of all, if they are saying, oh, your business is making 100 million and meanwhile you're making 10 million, right? You first, even if you would beg that okay, they should reduce your tax liability. The first thing is first, you want to be able to prove that oh, your business is actually making 10 million. Then you can now say, this 10 million, no, I cannot pay the taxes I'm owing. No. But if you start from 100 million, how do you want to now price 100 million to 10 million? It just would not work, right? So you want to get your story straight. You want to ensure that okay, that story now is reflected in the way you are keeping your records, right? So that is the number one thing you want to do. The next thing you want to do is you want to get a software, right? I know that you are not an accountant, you are not a bookkeeper, you are not this, and thank God solutions these days are not built to be complex, right? I tell people there are two things you should learn to do in any software, any accounting software. Once you can do these two things, right? Uh, you've used the accounting software almost 90% effectively. And what are the two things you need to learn how to do with the software? Number one, raise invoices or issue receipts, right? Then number two, record expenses. So how do I mean? Your operational activities, your day-to-day activities revolve around these two things. Any other thing that does not include revenue and expenses, that's purchases, operational expenses, and the likes, right? They really don't happen so often. So if you eventually have to keep all of those records, or if all of those things even happen, right? By the end of the period or whenever it is that you probably want to file, your accountant or whoever it is that you are consulting to do that can easily sort all of those things out. But the messy one, the one that is a lot, are those two: receipts, right? Reconciliation, invoice reconciliation, and expenses. And those are the simplest things you can do, whichever software you decide to use today. Those are the simplest things you should be able to learn to do, right? So if you are a small business that you cannot afford an accountant yet, right? You want to get a solution. There are numerous solutions, both Nigerian-based ones, abroad-based ones, right? If you're a service business, I'm a fan of Zoho Books. If you are into products, right? First of all, personally, I would actually recommend you should do softwares that enable you probably sell online. You can get your records from your website, right? And then the only thing you'll be bothered about is your expenses, right? Because if you say, okay, you now want to import your records from your website and put in a software and all of that, it might just be messy. So you want to say, okay, I'm getting a website. The website should be able to allow you sell online and offline, right? Then okay, for your expenses, you want to probably get an expense app where you categorize transactions and all of that. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that whatever it is that you're using, right, for your business allows you get all of the important data that you will use, right, to defend whatever it is that you're doing, whatever report it is that you are presenting to the taxman. It aligns with your story, right? Records for tax purposes cannot be overemphasized, right? Because most times what the taxman does when they come to you is like, oh, they'll just look at your bank statement and say, 100 million passed through your bank. You made 100 million naira to this period, right? He's not left with you, no, that is not how it is, right? That is why people actually prepare financial reports. You tell them, okay, this for my sales, these are the sales, these are the transactions for sales, these are the receipts. You want to show them a schedule. You want to show them a record of all your transactions, right? And the major transactions are basically revenue, which is what they're interested in, your revenue and your expenses, right? Your revenue and your expenses, okay? So yes, I would recommend a software because if you are here in this group and you're using paper and biro or book or notebook or olden days receipt, please, this is 2025. If even you, right, if after 1 year they tell you to go and be checking how much you made through that receipt that it is that you are writing, You can't go back and look at it. Getting somebody to even do it for you in this day and age, I don't know any accountant that want to stress themselves, be looking through receipts and all of that. It will even probably cost you more money because it's time consuming. You want to digitalize your processes, right? For easy reconciliation, just make everything easy for you. Okay. Then the number three thing on my list are bank statements. I said here that bank statements would not always work, right? So why I'm an advocate of putting proper descriptions for bank statement, whatever transactions, right? Bank statement will work if the transaction is 10,000, 100,000, maybe under a million for very big businesses. But when the transactions are going to 10 million, 50 million for a single transaction, right? You are not saying, oh, this thing you use it to buy asset and you're not claiming capital allowance for it. The taxman will ask for receipt, right? So every transaction, your bank statement might not be able to be good enough support documents for every transaction in your business, right? Especially when those transactions now hit the millions. Maybe you have a group of transactions, maybe 1 million here, 500,000 there, this one, that. They would want to see support documents. So while it is good that, oh, okay, oh, you have bank statements, your expenses are properly described, right? You want to be able to also present support documents, right? Because if you're doing a 50 million transaction, you're doing a 10 million naira transaction, the tax might expect that you're getting evidence for that transaction from whoever it is that you're sending that money to, especially if you want to claim it against your taxes, right? You want to be able to provide support documents. So it's not on every situation, it's not on every occasion that your bank statement will survive. It might survive for 10,000 transaction. It might suffice for 50,000 of transaction. It might even suffice for 100,000 transaction. But when the transactions, maybe the 100,000 they've piled up a lot, right? Or you have huge transactions, they want to see support documents. Okay, is this transaction really what you're saying it is? Right? Let's know. We want to know more because the higher the transaction is, it simply means, right, especially when you're claiming it against your revenue, it simply means the lesser your expenses would be. So yes, they want to know what it entails, right? They want to see more details. You probably want to prove beyond reasonable doubt that this is not just you sending yourself money or another personal expense of yours, right? Okay. Then the next thing on my list is categorize properly. How do I mean categorize properly? Right? Um, okay, what would I use for as an example? First of all, what is category? Category is basically grouping similar transactions together, right? Grouping similar transactions together. A very good example of categorize properly. I made a video recently where I said, if for instance now you are into maybe contracts where they give handshake. A friend of mine called me recently. He was looking for money to, I think, pay what's it called now, the king, also that they had a contract, right, and he needed to mobilize people, get the king to give him approval because of this what's the word in a local factor or whatever, that you have to actually employ people from those places, or this indigenous factor for people in the contract sector. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right, before they give you authority to work on their properties or appear in their land or whatever it is. So basically, what I'm just trying to say is that kind of transaction is basically what you probably would call a handshake, right? The tax law does not allow you to deduct handshake against your what's it called now? Your sales, right? Because you are not spending that money wholly and solely for business purpose. So it is not allowed. However, you knowing that okay, oh, this kind of transaction is not allowed, you've already understood that. What do you then do? What you will do is okay, instead of calling it a handshake or calling it a gift or whatever it is, right? You want to call it something else that also reflects, right, the handshake. You can call it welfare. You can call it entertainment, right? So that that transaction is deductible against your taxes. Okay, so understanding how to describe the transactions that you do on a day-to-day basis to ensure that at the end of the day, because the truth is, when you send money out of your account, the tax man is not going to ask the person, right, who you send money to, that, oh, what did they actually send this money to you for? No, it is up to you to prove that, oh, this money is actually for what they say it is for, right? So these really are the issues. These are the practical things. You want to be able to group and call those transactions a good name enough that you can claim it against your your revenue, right? So minimize your tax exposure. At the end of the day, you need to understand that we're trying to minimize our tax exposure, right? Uh, then the next and the last one is prepare management reports. I know so many businesses that if I say last month now, do you have a profit or loss report? You will say no. Uh, the only way for you, even even aside from tax, right? There's a popular saying that you cannot grow what you do not measure, right? You cannot grow. How are you planning with tax management reports? You will do business year in, year out. No sales report, no expense report, no asset report, no purchase report. You don't have data of your suppliers. You basically have no data. You're just doing this thing simply because maybe you don't want to spend money on hiring somebody that can do this for you. You don't want to invest in the right software solutions and all of those things to enable you easily keep all of these transactions. Yeah, bookkeeping is not hard, right? I keep on saying this. Bookkeeping is not hard, right? If you, for instance, now this customer, I sold this on seller, right? It simply means if I want to see how much I made from this course, right? I want to get all the data of the people. All I just have to go to, I go to seller and I click on this course and I see the details of whoever, all the people that bought the course. I get all their data, right? And if I want to do something similar in the future, all I just have to do is that same data, those sales data. I use it to run ads on Facebook and Instagram and all of those things. These things will help you in the long run. You need to understand that data, all of these transactions you're doing on a day-to-day basis, there is so much data, right, that you're getting from it that you are ignoring just because you don't want to put in a little more work or probably invest a little more. I'll recommend to you today that if you don't have, because if you want to actually get monthly management reports, all of this is the easy way. You want to invest again, like I said, in a digitalized solution, right? You are either selling on a software, should I say, you're either selling on a software website, all of any of these solutions out there, or maybe if you're a service provider, you want to use an accounting software. And how does that work? You just want to make sure that, okay, for every sale that you're making, you're raising a proper invoice for it. Because the moment you raise an invoice, it simply means that you recorded sales for that transaction, right? That is just as simple as that. Okay, so that's basically it. And for your expenses that you probably be performing yourself, nobody else is doing it. You also want to get expense. There are so many expense and fintech apps out there that allow you record expenses and categorize them. So you want to have like, okay, oh, these are all the common expenses I make in my business, right? You can have a list of about 10 expenses. A good example will be repairs. Anything that has to do with repairs, you go on that there. You have logistics. Anything that has to do with logistics, you're paying riders, so you're sending somebody money for transport, or anything logistics, go there, right? Um, which other this is there? We have welfare. You have meals and entertainment. You have office supplies. So you have things like biro, printing, and the likes, right? They all go under there. So this way, you can actually see where your money is going to on a month-to-month basis, right? On a month-to-month basis, you can see where your money is going to. Okay, so basically, that is that you want to ensure because at the end of the day, if you don't see your management report, you probably cannot tell what your tax liability are. You probably can at the end of the year, where you get an auditor or whoever it is that is helping you file, or you probably get a letter from the tax man. You don't even know where to start from because this same report that you are avoiding, this same management report that you are running away from, is what you will need to file your taxes, right? It is the management report that will tell you how much VAT you are owing at the end of the month. It is the management report that will tell you if you have any withholding tax outstanding. It is the management report that will give you all of this information. Then you now decide, okay, what can I do Do I have all the cash to pay upfront, or should I have a tax payable and all of those things, right? It will help you plan your taxes. So that even if you know, okay, you are underpaying or you are paying, you pay later, you have it, okay, oh, I have a tax payable of this so amount, but I need the cash now to do certain things for my business, right? So basically, um, again, you want to be able to prepare monthly reports so that you can effectively plan for tax when the time comes, right? Uh, so that is about that. Before we go to Q and A, let me quickly check our what's it called now? Is it in our questions, our forms? If we have questions there, excuse me.
I have a question, please.
Oh, okay.
So I missed the part where you were speaking about get your story straight. So please, what do you mean by that?
By getting your story straight, I'm just saying I made an example of like somebody in real estate, right? So let's imagine you are a real estate agent, eh? And you are a real estate company that builds businesses. So a real estate agent are probably, let's say Ola of Lagos, for example, that sells buildings for people. Obviously, he has a registered company, and probably people pay to him, then he pays whoever owns the house, right? Now, for a transaction like that, the only income that comes to him is his commission, right? But if you are the owner of the building, the original owner of the building, the whole money that comes to you becomes your turnover basically. So those the same for the same transaction, because of their story, both of them have different turnovers. One's turnover is 10% of the inflow, another one's turnover is the total inflow, right? So depending on how you want to present your case to the taxman, I've seen people who have two different financials, right? One for management, investors, and all of those one. Another one for tax purposes, right? I'm not saying you should do that, but that is the reality. You want to whatever story that you're selling. Oh, I don't make this money is not my own. Oh, the only money I make is commission. Oh. You want to make sure that your story, your financials, everything reflects whatever story that it is that you're telling the taxman, right? So you plan your record keeping, you plan your bookkeeping towards whatever story it is that you want to tell the taxman. Exactly.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay. I think we stopped. Okay, I think I remember this freelancer. We stopped here. So I'm just gonna take these few questions. Including time. Okay, I think I already dealt with this, but I can just read it because it's not a lot. I decide to donate money to a religious organization, say a church. Will I remove withholding tax at source? And if it is better to pay to the head of the pastor and all of that. So you don't charge. Is a charity organization, right? Again, like I had said, you don't donations are not allowed when it comes to income tax in the first place. So first of all, it's not a deductible expense. So there's no need doing. Is a charity this thing. You don't charge donations withholding tax basically. Okay, so he's asking, I think here he's trying to ask if withholding tax is done monthly. No, so withholding tax is done when you have withholding tax to pay, because certain transactions are what attract withholding tax, right? Even in the filing, in reality, you don't file for withholding tax monthly. It does not drop like every other tax. So like VAT now drops monthly, right? But withholding tax does not drop monthly. You have to actually file for it. Okay. Uh, I collect rent from my building around 11 million annually into my personal account. Do I have to pay tax on it? Are bank transactions or narration labeled gifts or rent when sending money taxable? So again, I've been saying it over and over again that what's it called now? That your bank accounts, right, are not, nobody's going to audit your bank account. You need to even understand that this law that is written, right? Even the access to your bank account, by is most often than not will be given to FRS, which is the federal body, right? I don't think they would want to allow that access to state government. I don't see that happening anytime soon. And knowing Nigeria, they really don't share data that much. Our data sharing is really not that much. Then you now ask yourself again, who has access, right? Or should I say, who has the jurisdiction over personal income tax? The federal government does not have jurisdiction over personal income tax. The state government does, which means that their access to information will be limited, right? That is just the reality. It will be limited, which again now also is a loophole where you can actually declare and file. I will encourage you to declare and file, right? Declare an income and file, but nobody's going to audit your personal account and tell you that, okay, well, what is this inflow for? What is that inflow for? It is just too messy. You know how many transactions you do that you probably can never explain by yourself on your personal account. So nobody audits the personal account. That I can tell you for free. I do a lot of crypto exchange whereby the people has to go through my personal account first before I can take out my cut, present it, and send it to the rest of the owner. Do I have to pay tax on the whole money that goes through my account or percentage? No, you don't have to pay money through your account. Now, if you are somebody that does large transactions, which I expect as a crypto person that you would be, right? What I will encourage you, because you now fall among people that probably be having over 25 million naira a month, and they might not call you to find out, okay, oh, are you paying tax? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? So you want to open a proper company for your crypto, right? Which now allows you to declare income, right? Your commission, what's it called now? Whatever it is that you are making from the DC. I know, okay, for crypto businesses, the margins are very slow. You have one error and cobbles for transactions, right? It's just the block that makes it make sense. And I've been saying it on this group. I have a partnership with a bookkeeping, this in AI product, TradePal. So you might want to check it out. Where you probably because at the moment now for crypto this there's no solution out there, there's no software out there that is designed for your specific audience, your type of transactions, which is a solution we're trying to provide in the market, right? So you might want to check it out. If you need more information, that we don't dwell on that in this class, uh you can DM me. Okay. Crypto exchange and rent is my source of livelihood. Am I to pay PIT or payee? Is there a website where I can download PDF files to submit our taxes and file our taxes and all of those? And when will you say, okay, let me take you one by one? Crypto exchange and rent is my source of livelihood. Am I under PIT? So if you're operating it from your personal account, which you currently are doing, then you are under PIT because you don't have a company account yet. But again, I recommend that you register a company. This is because, first of all, these kind of businesses, they can go back easily. The transaction volume It just gives you a way to separate yourself from the business and claim all that you need to claim, right? Because if you put it under your business, or should I say, if you do this business under your personal account, and because of your large volume of transactions, you get flagged, right? Again, you don't have compliance, what's your obligation, right? They will shall mix up both your personal transactions and business transactions, everything together. Your taxes will be higher. So you want to actually separate this for this kind of business because of the volume. I will recommend you separate it from yourself, right? Get a proper company for it. Okay. So is there a website where I can download PDF and file and submit our taxes yearly, like the fileyourtaxes.com abroad? Okay, so there are websites where you file your taxes. For the federal government FRS, you have the Tax Promas. For Lagos State, you have the e-tax portal, right? Most other states, when it comes to PIT, you don't have any this thing. They've not invested in taxes that much, so they do direct assessments. Even LRS, Lagos is still direct assessment, but they help you do it online. Then you can see basically you can see your profile and all of those things. But for the other states, it's really not like that. Everything is still on paper and biro and folders and all of that. So you have to go to their office to get that done. And will you tell us the deductibles on PAYE, PIT and PAYE? I've said it a number of times. PAYE and PIT and all of those things do not really have deductibles. If by deductibles you mean expenses, right? The only things they have is your basically allowances, which is rent allowance up to 500,000. Now have insurance policies, such as your pension. If you are doing pension contribution, you can deduct it. If you have a NHIS and all of those health, whatever insurances, approved ones. So all the approved health insurances are listed on the website. So what you can just do is do a quick Google and type tax calculator. You will see the federal fiscal policy documentation. Then when we talked about PIT, we touched largely on that, right? And all the deductible, or should I say, all the allowances given are there, right? So yes, there's nothing like expense deductible. That's why I said I've been saying it from the day one that PIT is self-assessment, right? It's direct assessment. Okay, so I think that answers this person's question. I have access to 300 million, give or take, to avoid filing for tax and avoiding tax. Can I get a loan on the assets to avoid tax? I heard that that's how the rich people avoid tax. Usually, Trump, Elon Musk, does it work in Nigeria? So, how does this work, right? Uh, I also saw a video where somebody said one of my followers said me, I said Elon Musk is paying zero tax, and I just laughed. Elon Musk is not paying zero tax, right? They use taxes to so basically what they are saying is they take out loans on their assets that they have, right? First of all, you need to understand that tax 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 is on revenue, right? Or money that you've actually realized. So most of these rich people, what they do with their once they have money or income, whatever it is, they use it to buy assets, right? That is basically it. So from the assets now, they can now uh, take loans on the value or even more than the value of the asset and use it to get probably more assets, right? That they can probably leverage more on. So what that means is they really don't have so much income, right? Or should I say taxable income? Because again, assets are not really taxed, right? Assets are just a means of you generating revenue. So it works in all climates, right? But in Nigeria now, for instance, let's say you're working, you're doing a business or you're yes, let's say you're doing a business, people pay you. That is revenue. They don't pay you assets, they pay you revenue, right? Before you not think of buy assets. So, but the before you go and spend money to buy assets, the only thing you can deduct against that revenue are probably expenses and just a portion of the asset, which is now what they call capital allowance. I'm not really sure how the US deduction works when it comes to assets. Maybe you're using revenue to buy assets. I'm not sure. Nobody will allow you to deduct 100%. But yes, now the other profit there is if you're taking a loan, whatever interest you're paying on that loan now becomes another expense you can add to reduce your tax liability, right? So that is how loans actually benefit you as a business owner or as an individual. For individual, like in the Nigeria situation, is really not that complicated. Nobody is even considering assets. All they're just asking is what is your taxable income, right? So basically, that's it. Um, I run a school registered as ordinary business name, not
Please,
LLC.
please,
Okay,
sorry, you didn't read the next question behind the other question.
I didn't get that.
The
Hello.
question is actually three questions. You read only
Oh,
one.
okay. This one. I also do a lot of research. Remember,
No. The
I've
second
read this
one,
one.
the second, you skipped
Oh,
it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I did I did safe lock with Piggyverse and they pay me 150K as stipend every month for the next years. Will I pay tax on this money? On this every month. Okay, so if you did Piggyverse, right? From next year, I'd want to assume, I don't know why they already are not doing it. So if they are not already charging you withholding tax, I'd want to assume that from next year they will start charging you withholding tax. So as an individual, that will be 5% of the income. So for 15,000, for 150,000, which they are paying you, that will be 7,500, which is 5%, right? So when they deduct this 5% from this money, automatically you can no longer declare this income as part of your taxable income because it has already been taxed. So in this situation, the withholding tax Pinterest will be charging you from next year becomes your final tax for this income, right? So it is expected or it is allowed that you do not declare this as part of your income for next year, right? Or when you're filing your personal income tax because you've already paid tax. So I'm guessing that maybe by next year they might be asking lots of you to be updating your tax ID, right? So that they can file those money they are taking from you to your right accounts. Okay. Lastly, last week Sunday lecture and Thursday. Okay, I've not posted it. So I have done both videos. I think I've posted them already on YouTube. I'll share the link after the class. Right. With today's lecture and two lectures be posted on Telegram soon. Yes, okay. I'll do that. I want to hire a taxman like yourself to help my tax issue. Maybe we we all can know it is best to hire you than facing Tinubu headache. List your pricing. Okay, so what I will do, I will drop my rate card, right? And yes, I'll drop my rate card for my services that I offer. Okay, but I think the rate card now at the moment does not come. It does not really cover business name people, but I'm also thinking of a package for that as well, which I will also drop. I will drop my rate card before should I say before the classes are over. Okay. I run a school registered as an ordinary business name, not LLC. Is there if there is evidence that I am on a salary from the school based on which sorry, I run a school registered as ordinary business name, not LLC. If there is evidence that I'm on a salary from the school based on which PIT is paid annually, showed embarrassment, will I be liable to pay another tax on the small profit made by the school, not uh, even when it's not on LLC? Okay, so I've said this right. As long as it's not an LLC, you are not paying what's it called? You are not paying any profit tax, right, on the business of the school. You are just paying tax on whatever it is that you declared that you paid yourself. So if you have a salary structure where you have a particular amount you pay yourself, you want to declare that annually and file your tax accordingly. Okay. Does the tax law mandate double payments from me as a salary earner from the school and the school to pay another tax to the LRS? The school does not pay another tax to LRS. The LRS does not charge businesses tax. The LRS charges individuals tax, and the school is not an individual, right? So that is basically out of the question. Okay. If you are making money beside your salary, maybe the school is also paying some other dividends or whatever it is, right? Then it's not a case of you maybe doing an additional assessment, right? Because you own a business, not because you own, or should I say, because you are earning extra income. But again, you as the individual, you are the one that will file those taxes. Enlightening us with agriculture, farmers won't file tax for the next 5 years and won't pay tax for the next 5 years. They can get a business name. Oh, okay. So for agriculture, when you talk about 5 years income tax, it's basically it is a company income tax people that file income tax. So if you are doing a business name, first of all, it means that you probably will not pay income tax for the rest of your life, right? Or should I say, on your business life. But again, being in the agricultural sector, especially if you're looking to get loans to expand and all of those things, right? There are a lot of incentive when you are operating as a limited liability. So those might be some considerations you want to consider with whatever it is that you choose to register at, and not just because of tax. So you want to have all of those considerations, right? That is what I would recommend. You want to think about it because there are government bodies that are out there giving loans, giving grants to farmers, but you will not be able to access any of that if you operate as a business name. Okay, so you should have that at the back of your mind. But if the only decision, your decision is solely based off of because of tax, then yes, business name is your best bet. The only tax you'll be paying, right, is your personal income tax. So you probably will not be paying any tax regarding your business because agricultural businesses don't pay VAT, right? And by virtue of using a business name, you will not be paying any income tax. Okay, so you will not pay any income tax for the business. Okay, so let's get that straight. Give us an example of software that can help us with bookkeeping for PIT, payee, business name, and limited. So I know there have been a number of scandals with filing all of these taxes on third party solutions, because what they really do is they collect the money for you and remit it on your behalf. And I think there was even a scandal recently of one of those HRO solutions where they collect money and they did not file it for anybody, and people were trying to get their tax clearance and they saw that all the money, nobody remitted it, right? It was a big scandal. It simply means you are still owing taxes. Okay, and the owner person don't probably be Nigerian. If they got connection, nothing will happen to them. So what I would recommend is you do your bookkeeping normally in a bookkeeping solution. And I mentioned while I was talking, even in the class today, I mentioned the Zoho books. If you're a service business and the service business with not a lot of inventory, right? If you're either purely service or maybe service with few inventory and all of that, Zoho books is your best bet, right? But if you have a lot of inventory, you want to like a supermarket and all of those, maybe a jewelry store, inventory with a lot of variations, maybe fashion, then you want to consider other solutions, right? You want to consider other solutions like Loivers. I think there's even this one I saw, which the Odo, right? Nigerian one. There's this. So basically, again, then another thing. There's these solutions that are actually that are reigning and very popular, right? I'm not saying they don't work, but from experience, they give you a lot of headache, especially when you want to get data out of them for tax purposes. Is here you have these desktop solutions. By desktop solutions, I mean solutions that so it sounds very attractive because you are paying a one-time fee, right? And after that, you don't have to pay again. But me, I'm not a fan of a desktop solution simply because, first of all, it makes a monitoring tedious. If you are not in the office, you cannot monitor whatever it is that is going. So there are lots of desktop QuickBooks out there, right, where people, excuse me, a lot of desktop QuickBooks out there where they install the solution in your computer in the office, right? And you can only keep records and take records and all of that from that computer. If you are not in that location, you cannot get any information. As a business owner, you want some flexibility, right? So while you might have to be paying monthly and yearly and all of that, I would recommend what's it called? A cloud-based solution. That's why I always recommend Loivas and Zoho. First of all, they are cloud-based, which means whatever your staffs are doing in the office, right, you can always see it from wherever you are. Right? That's why I'm always a fan of Loivas and probably any of all those online solutions that can also allow you, so they allow you record and do all of this both online and offline, and everything synchronizes into one, should I say, dashboard or be database. Sorry. So this is not a bookkeeping, or should I say, a software solution class, right? But those are the things you probably want to consider. It's not just, you are not just doing this thing for your tax. You want to also do something that will benefit you as a business because you'll be investing money in it, right? You want to be able to get proper solutions from whatever investment you're making. Okay, so that's it. Crypto follow up. My transaction exchange doesn't go beyond 3 to 5 million monthly. Am I safe? Oh, sure. If your transaction is 3 to 5 million naira, you are very very safe. Nobody's going to come and be disturbing you for 3 to 5 million naira, right? There are bigger fishes to fry. Okay, so I don't pay tax on my collect rent of, so I don't pay tax on my rent of 11 million naira yearly. So what I'm saying is, when next year come, just go and do a direct assessment. You don't have to tell them that you're making 11 million naira, right? I'm guessing you have other businesses, right, that brings in money even besides the rent. So once you can just say, oh, okay, oh, I want to declare 5 million, I want to declare 2 million, I want to declare 3 million. You at the end of the day, you probably end up paying a tax of like maybe 200,000 or 300,000, and will cover you for the year, right? Ideally, rental income is taxable. I'm not saying it's not taxable, but like I have been explaining, simply because you are not deducting any expenses, and obviously people have expenses, right? The government is not trying to make you broke, so they allow you declare what we call taxable income. So that is what you now file taxes on your taxable income. So come next year, you go declare your taxable income and you file your taxes accordingly. Okay, I think that's all for our questions. Let's do Q and A, and we'll call it a day. Okay, we have about an hour left. So anybody ready to probably have live questions for me so we can take it from there?
Okay. Hello. Good evening. I'm the one you asked. You answered the question concerning the rent. So I also want to ask. So give or take, my income abroad and home is not actually a work based, but actually what goes into my account every year is about, if I'm not mistaken, I can just peg it at 15 or 16 million. So you made mention of a direct. What is it? You said direct something, direct assessment. So how
Yes,
do
there is assessment.
Yeah, so how do I get somebody to probably just do that for me, and they're gonna file for me? Then I just get it and pay. And actually, I think last 3 years, I think somebody did my tax last 3 years because I wanted to run for political, office, and I was told to pay taxes. So I was wondering if I can still, uphold that profile of me paying. I think it was 50K per, per year. So I want to know if that's a direct, whatever you call it now, and the other one is also
Yeah, that's
direct.
the direct assessment.
Yes, direct assessment. Thank you. And this one you are talking about federal too. Is it going to be a direct assessment as well?
So for you now, you don't own a company, you don't own an LLC, so federal does not concern you.
Okay.
Hello?
Well, thank you very much for that. So I have to only deal with states, right?
Yes.
Okay, with that amount, so I have to just deal with states, and I pay to states. So going by, I think I opened. I was going to ask a question on the first, day we started doing this lecture, that I opened LTD account. That is a limited account,
Mm-hmm.
oil and gas, but I wasn't able to do the oil and gas, so I left it there. But for the account not to be dormant, a cousin of mine wanted to buy a property, so he just sent the money because it was in South Africa, so he sent the money through my account. So that was how I was able to go over the 50 million, which is this February. I was able to go over the 50 million threshold. So I was asking then, will I be in trouble? Because it's not me that have money. He just sent the money to me. That the second day I sent the money out because I was having a larger. So I
No,
was
so
wondering.
you won't be in trouble, right? Because even just like you said, it's just money that passes through your account. At the end of the day, even if they want to tax you, they there's no you don't even have the capacity to pay the tax. That's the truth, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, is when you I'm not advising you that you should be receiving money, especially when you have active business, right, in that account. Then it now becomes. But if you really don't have, just like what you've explained, if you don't have should I say active activities on that business, right? This story you just told me, and you tell it to the tax man, I don't think is going to be an issue, right? You don't want the account to be dormant. You receive some personal, I mean, director's contribution through the account to purchase certain assets and all of that. That is basically not a crime, right? So it
Okay. So
happens every now and then. It's
okay.
just a straightforward, and especially since the whole money came in and the whole money left almost immediately, nobody's going to have an issue with that. You know, when maybe the money came in and you are now using it small, 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 it now
No,
becomes source.
I wasn't using it small, small. I sent it out
No,
in
I'm
bulk.
just trying to tell you like the your story now the way it is easy to believe because the money came in once and the money left the way it came, it left the way it came. You
Exactly.
understand? So it shouldn't be an issue.
Okay. So the last question, you also made mention because I was one that responded and said monthly whatever comes into my account through crypto is not I don't think is above, if I'm not mistaken, 2 million every month. And during this
Mm.
period, to keep the company account active, sometimes I divert the money through the company account.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. So
money
that means you have
to
active activities.
yes, exactly.
Okay. So if you do, first of all, if the transaction is going through your
Business.
limited liability account, right? First of all, it simply means that the business is operating because there's money going through your account. Now, will you be liable to tax? No, right?
Ah,
But you have to file for those transactions. You won't be liable because if I multiply 2 or 3 million times 12, you are not up to 50 million. So it simply means you're a small business. So you have
yeah.
no tax liability to pay just on that regard, right? So yes, because I was thinking when you said 2, 3 million, you're talking about your personal account. So that's why I said there's nothing to worry about. But if it's a limited account that this money is passing through, you now have the obligation to actually file because your business is operating right. That money is going in and out of the account, so it's not up to you to explain to the taxman what the money is, right? And again, you are not liable because obviously you've not crossed the turnover threshold.
Oh, thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Okay,
Question, please. Can I ask?
sure, shoot.
Yeah, okay. I want to ask concerning pay issues and minimum wage and all that. Okay, we've been having stories around if people earn 80K or less, they will not pay tax. Another version will be if they earn about 100K, that's about 1.2 million per annum,
That's my
they do not
version.
tax. So how do we reconcile it? Which one is which? Is it
You are in my class,
80,000?
so you go with my own.
Eh?
I say you're in my class now, so you will go with my own.
Okay, so can
My
you
own is
rewind on it, please?
120K.
Eh?
My own is 120K per month.
Okay, if somebody earn 120K and below, the person should be tax exempted, I mean.
Yes. So basically, if you have somebody earning 120K below and the tax man comes, you calculate it for him now, right? First of all, they are saying 800,000 as zero tax, right? Then you go
Yes.
and so first of all, the total for 120K, that's the 1.2 million naira annually, Abi. So if the
No,
1.2 million naira
100,
you remove,
1.2
okay,
million is 100K per month.
oh, okay, so 120K that would be 1.3 million 40,000,
About,
Abi.
yes. Mm.
Oh, okay. So that means if you are even paying tax, you're only paying tax on 40,000, right? But that's why I say any less than 1.2 million naira, or should I say 1.3 million naira. So again, let me do my calculation. If the total money now for 120K,
Mm.
you probably might pay tax on only 40,000. So let's do the calculation. If the first money were 800,000 naira, you remove it, what will be left? You are now left with 540,000. Abi?
Yes.
If you minus
Yeah.
it from 1.340. So that
Yes.
500,000, the law say you can take maximum of 500 annual rent,
Household.
right? uh
Mm.
So they will not be telling you to be providing rent certificates. Even minus that self,
It,
the law does not. There's really so basically they're saying if you are taking allowance, like I've always
mm.
said before now, there was another allowance they gave people, which is a consolidated relief fund (CROF). Right? They removed that one. That one was a maximum of
Okay.
200,000. They removed it, put 500,000 there, right? Which
Mm.
means that they expect you, even the tax man himself. I think I saw a video where he said anybody earning less than 110,000, whatever, should not be worried about taxes, right?
Yeah.
Because he understands that calculation. They expect you
It's,
to take that 500,000 naira allowance. So if you add 500,000 naira to 800, which you've already charged zero
that's
percent of, you now
1.3.
have 1.3. So the only amount left on that person is 40,000 naira. So you apply 15%, right? Which is the
Mm.
first task scale on
Yeah.
14,000 naira. 15% on 14,000 naira, that would be 4,000, that would be
Yes.
6,000 naira. I'll be 600 naira.
Yeah.
Yes, 6,000 naira. So 6,000 naira now, you now divide it by 12. That is how much you'll be paying on paying for that person.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. So basically, that's how you calculate it.
Good evening, sir. Hello, good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Good evening, sir. I can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry, the truth is I have not exactly been active on the class because I work in the evenings.
Oh, okay.
So, and since it's not recorded, I have not been
So
able
I've
to
been
go
recording it now for
fully.
the last three classes. Again, I will share all the videos. I've been recording them. So I will do that and
Okay.
share the videos. Yeah, because so that, for those people that
Okay.
didn't watch, you can always go back to and revisit it.
Okay. So, my quick question is, um, for someone that let's okay, I'm also a crypto trader or a forex trader, whichever one,
Mhm.
and certain amounts come in monthly. Let's say not so much, it's not maybe up to 2 million a month, for instance. So what would you suggest for someone that earns like 1 million or so a month to do maybe under crypto? Do you declare assets or income through that,
Is that
or you
your
have
earnings or the total inflow to your account?
that should be totally inflow to my account?
So that inflow is not a lot, honestly. And like I've been saying, the law is not focused on people like that. The law is focused on, first of all, individuals with over 25 million naira inflow in a month. So on that aspect, you really will not be bothered. So you might not want to bother yourself with now going to open a company and all of those complications. And for someone like you, do your direct assessment. That's your personal income tax file, and you should be good, right? Basically, you just or you are just aiming to get like a tax, what I'll call a tax footprint, right? And you should be good. Nobody's going to disturb you. To again, nobody audits a personal account, especially since you've not crossed that threshold, right? Which they are looking into. So you just get the tax footprint and you should be good as long as you're paying tax.
Okay. So what if, for instance, there are plans in place to that the projected outcome would push someone above that limit or above that threshold of 25
Then
million.
register a
Or
company.
okay, so
That's simple. Register
what?
a company because if they flag your account and they ask you and you say you're doing business, the next question will be, why are you doing business in your personal account?
Okay,
The only reason
okay,
for you to do business with your personal account is because you are trying to evade tax. Because personal accounts don't pay company income tax. You get the point. So
yeah,
if you are projecting to probably increase revenue in the nearest future, then you should also consider registering. And for your kind of business, I would strongly recommend you get a limited liability because I understand how those businesses and all of the wahala that comes with crypto trading, especially finance, anything finance. I really don't recommend business name for finance institutions.
okay. So
So it does
quick
not
question.
provide you with indemnity. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So I saw something about the access, the other link you posted
Which link?
for the 1 year
The other class.
access.
Oh, okay, okay. My 1 year class.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I want to ask, for me, to be honest, I have not, I know I started a company with my friends, but I wasn't the one that handled most of those things at some point. So I don't know, I am not so conversant with all that. I don't know, would it be possible to also cover that in the class also?
Cover what? I'm not sure I got the question.
Let's say, for instance, if I'm about to cross the 25M threshold and I need to start up a company and all that, could you help brush me through the process and legal process and all that?
So
Before I can.
that is really not my strong suit. That's basically for people who do CAC. I don't even offer CAC services, right? Although I partner with somebody who's also a member of this, what's it called? This our community, right? She does CAC, and so far for the people I've recommended, they came back with a thumbs up. So if you need to register your CAC, right, you can send me a DM. Okay, I know I've dropped her flyer that she used my name on. I'll probably also drop the flyer at the end of this class again. You can hit her up and you negotiate for your C. So basically, what you need is a CAC document and maybe some other. At the moment, I would not because you cannot even register a crypto kind of business right now, even with CAC. Right then, you might want to now go through the general contracts, maybe digital assets kind of things. Right, that's what other people use. Like I have some clients in that space, so
Mhm.
nobody uses crypto. They will not CAC will not approve it, but you can go around it and use other general terms, right? And but FRS
Okay,
has no problem with whatever business you are doing, basically. So that's it.
okay, will do. Thank you, sir. I think I would
No
sign up
problem.
now. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Good evening. Can I
Yes,
ask?
sir. Yes, sure. Go ahead.
All right, sorry. Good evening. Thank you once more for this opportunity. So I would have some questions. The first one is I run a private business and I'm also a full-time employee. So my
Okay.
company does pay on my behalf, and I do my my personal income tax on my business name.
Okay.
Um, can I harmonize both with this new law? Can I find one thing to be doing? Or I mean, can I harmonize those tax and just tell regarding paying my payee and my personal income tax?
Okay. So at the moment, it has already been harmonized because whoever is filing for you they need your tax ID, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if your company uses your tax ID, and when you're filing your own, you use your tax ID, they are all going to the same account.
Oh. Okay. So I get
So
that now.
they all settle in
I
the
get.
same account. So yes, it's
Okay.
currently harmonized.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
So
Second
if
question
at
would
any
be,
time, okay, I just
yes.
wanted to add, if at any time you are going to get your tax clearance certificate, you will see that the total amount will be different because both revenues will be reflected there. Both taxes
Okay.
rather will be reflected in your tax clearance.
Okay. So thank you for that. So the follow up for me will be if the company, I'm sure the company is remitting, but if the company is remitting but not remitting on my tax ID, I can just request for a tax clearance from the tax office on
No,
my.
you are not. So first things first, if they're not remitting on your tax ID, it means that that money is not going to your account. It's just they're just dashing government the money.
Okay, so how do we? Oh, so even if it has been filed, there is no way to get it back.
No,
Is that?
it has already been filed now. There's no way to. It's at the point of filing that you should be filing it correctly.
Okay, okay,
Because how do you
I
not
get.
claim that it was when you were filing it, you were working for that company or it is so it is the company's responsibility to file for whoever it is they are paying. The person has a tax
on
ID, fine. If the
on
person
the
does not
tax
have a tax
ID.
ID, then you
Okay.
continue shall continue your filing. They are trying to cover their own ass, right? If you
Mm,
have a tax ID, good for you. If you don't have a tax ID, then not concerning anybody.
okay, so that this now brings us back to, so from next year, as it were, any employee within the organization that is on an average of 110 should not be having should not do pay. Is that what it means?
Yes, yes, that's
Oh,
what I mean.
okay. And it's the company's duty to not to charge that. That means, as employees, we can now demand companies and tell them, oh, based on this new tax law,
Yes,
there should not be paid deduction from us.
exactly.
All right. That
The
would be my question
accountant
for
should
you.
know better.
You said?
I said the accountant of that company should know better.
Okay, perfect. Just like you said. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. That's it for me for today. Thank you.
Okay.
Please, I would like to ask, when is the right time for us to find a way to do direct assessment? Is it the beginning of the year or
January.
January?
Yes. Beginning of the year. Yes.
Like in the next
So
three
you
months?
have from January to March to do that.
Ah, without earning, it is well.
No, you are doing it for 2025.
So I'm doing for 2025
Yes.
to pay the federal. This tax is starting
No, it's states.
for the states.
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay,
Personal income tax is states.
okay. So with our own condition now, you said we should go for direct assessment. So we only have to do the states. We don't have to do the federal.
If you don't have a company, yes.
Eh, why am I now worried about the federal? That's why. No, no problem. So,
Okay.
so please, the CAC thing, because I have oil and gas, whatever. Whenever I start CAC, I want to switch it back to agriculture, so I can have some relief. So the person that you said has the CAC contact of, right, please help us share
Yeah,
it. I'll probably reach out to her.
I will do that.
Thank you very much.
Any more question? Or we can call it a good night.
I have a question, please.
Okay.
Can you hear me? So the tax ID for personal income tax, right? Does it start with N? Do you have an
Yes.
idea how it starts with N?
For Lagos, so
Yes.
yes.
So previously I was in paid employment and they gave me a card then when I think
That's
the
the tax
company
ID.
was. So should I continue using it because since I resigned I
Yes, yes,
haven't. Okay, I should just continue with that number.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Unless they say otherwise next year, but yes, continue with that number.
Okay.
Even if they say otherwise, they will link that number to the new number.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Also, please, can we message you direct on Telegram, or is there a WhatsApp number?
Sure.
All right.
Good evening. Please, I have a question.
Good evening.
Yeah. And it has to do with value added tax. So
Okay.
last year I have a business name that I
Mm-hmm.
enrolled on a tax promise. And my business name before then I have not been using it. So it was when I wanted to work with a company that they demanded for my tax details before they can give me the project. So which was by the time I did the other calculation, I was able to get to the 25 million naira threshold. So, but
Okay.
after then, I've not been. When I did the project, they deducted withholding tax, and I also charged them for VAT.
Right.
So it was late I realized that they didn't file the withholding tax. So what I did
Even
from
if
my
they find
end
it,
with
if you
the
don't give them their
VAT,
thing, they will not. You will not show now.
I gave them my thing because it was in the invoice that I sent to them.
Okay.
So it was until now that I got to know that I should have gotten to them and asked for the receipts that they used to file it, or even demand if they file it or not. So I didn't bother
Okay.
to go back to them since that last year. So for that month, since I've enrolled on the tax promise, that was when I got to know that I need to be filing the monthly VAT, which I didn't pay the exact VAT that was on that transaction. So I paid certain amounts. But after then, for every other month, whether I make profits or not from the business, I paid certain amounts for VAT. So I don't file zero. I just paid a certain amount on it. So, but for this year, I've not crossed all my business transactions so far. I've not gotten up to the 25 million threshold, but I've been paying VAT on a monthly basis. So I want to ask, moving forward, what advice do you advise me on how to structure the business in line with paying VAT?
So what I would do is, if you're not sure whether you cross the threshold, because by next year now the threshold will increase to 50 million, what you can do is you can have a tax savings account, right? So you file zero, right? Then whatever you think that, or whatever the tax you charge on that transaction is, you keep it there. So if at the end of the year you cross 50 million naira, or as at when you cross 50 million naira, you can now remit all of those. You can file everything in 1 month, right? Because they're not going to assess you on a monthly basis. They assess you on an annual basis, or at least on a period. So they can say, okay, oh, from January to June, that kind of thing. But most times they assess you over 1 year period. So most times it's more like a periodical assessment rather than a monthly assessment. So even if you collected VAT this month and you probably want to use the money
Okay.
to do something, you can file zero and pay that money next month, right? The main thing is you
Okay.
file, right? In practice, nobody comes to assess you on a monthly basis. Usual assessment is usually on an annual basis because first of all, it is annual that you are meeting that threshold. So if you think that okay by next year, especially with your experience this year, you might not get to that threshold, right? What I would recommend is you have a tax savings account where you save whatever it is that you're charging people for VAT in, and you continue filing zero. If at the end of the year you don't meet that threshold, the money don't turn to extra money for the business.
Okay. So just to be clear, for every month that I should be filing zero up until when I
Yes.
make a certain when I do transaction where I charge VAT on it, and then remit it maybe
So
towards the end of the year.
from your explanation, you're already charging VAT.
Yes. That's
Mm-hmm.
not on all transactions. I only charge VAT when the client also wants to charge me withholding. Because now, if I have it, if I want to charge them VAT, mostly clients do complain that they are not charging me withholding. So I don't want they will also not want to
Okay,
pay
I get
VAT.
I get your point, but even if you're not charging the VAT, right? If you become a big business or you cross the threshold, you'll still be liable to pay it, whether you charge it or not.
Oh, okay, sir.
Just
Okay,
have that at the back of your mind. Yes.
okay, sir. Okay, thank you for the
Okay.
clarification.
Hi, Mana. I've got
Hi.
a question.
Okay. Good
I
afternoon.
did
Good
send a
evening.
question. Good evening, Mana. I did send a question to the group last week, but I'm not sure if he answered because I have not been consistent on here. And when I do attend the class, sometimes I come late. I'm sorry. I did
No,
ask a
not a
question.
problem.
I asked a question about um on it being a part owner of a food and beverage company and whatnot. And I because the income is not a monthly thing. Sometimes when I do get paid, um it's more than 20 million. It happens, say, maybe every other month or sometimes every 3 months or a few times a year. I guess what I'm asking is because the income is not a monthly thing, do you think it's imperative that I open an LLC? Because sometimes in a year it does cross the 50 million threshold. So what would your advice be?
So first of all, the investment is the beverage company and LLC.
No, it is not.
It is a business name.
Yeah, but I don't handle, I pretty much, I don't, I'm a
No, you're
silent
just
owner.
getting what's it called? Your returns. I understand that. Now the next question would
Yes.
be, right? Are they charging you withholding tax?
Um,
You
I
don't know.
don't handle, what I did is I invested in the business. I just get paid. I don't handle anything that has to do with it. I also work remotely. And, they do. I have someone who handles investment and all that for me. I pretty much just just exist, you know. So I would like to know
Okay, so
if
what I'm
I
trying to, sorry,
okay.
continue.
I just I don't do any I'm not very active in any of these things, right?
Okay, I
But
understand that.
with the business remote and my remote jobs and all of that, I like I said, it's not a consistent thing. Sometimes when I do get paid, I have someone who handles my money and they make investments on my behalf. And when I do need the money, I request for it. And like I said, because it's not a consistent thing, it's something that happens, say, every other month or a few times a year.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I've been waiting to hear if someone would ask a question that is similar
Uh,
to my situation, but that didn't happen.
okay.
My situation seems to be a bit unique. So I just want to know what your suggestion would be. I don't really want to go through the hassle of opening an LLC, but would you suggest that I do that?
Okay. So no, I will not suggest that you do that, and I'm going to give you reasons. But I have a few questions. Are you residing in Nigeria? Do you reside in Nigeria?
Yes, I am
Okay. So if you
currently.
reside in Nigeria, you mentioned that I'm asking because you said that you work remotely. So
Yeah.
in the recent, the money you invested in that company, whether it's LLC or whatever it is, if you are paying, because you said it's an investment, if you are paying returns, just like what I said to the person who had piggy vest, whatever, they should be charging you what I call withholding tax. And if they charge you withholding tax for that income, right, that investment income, that becomes your final tax. So if you're declaring income, you're not supposed to be declaring that income whether it passes 50 million, 100 million, as long as it is a returns on investment, the company that is paying you that returns should be deducting withholding tax on your behalf and remitting it to the state government, right? So in that case now, your withholding tax will be, I don't know if you're a director, right? If you're a director, that's 10%. But if you're not a director, then probably it probably will still be 10%, right? For returns like that. In most cases, it probably be 10%. So that should have been deducted before they even pay you, which now serve as your tax for that income that you earn. Then you cannot talk about your remote work, right? Especially since you reside in Nigeria, your remote work, then you probably pay. So that one is the only one that you want to get maybe an assessment on and pay taxes because of your extra income. Does that Is that clear?
Um, I'm a little lost. So
Okay.
no LLC. Definitely, you're saying I don't need to open an LLC, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you're for the remote work. I'm sure. I'm sorry, I missed what you said there.
Okay. So for the first one, I'm saying the money should have been taxed before it got to you. So if you are having money from an investment, even if they come today, right, it's a question of who is paying you the income tax. They should have been withholding that money before it gets to you. So on that income, you are covered. So you should not, because of that income, open an LLC. But for the remote work, you've not really said so much about what's it called, how much the income is and all of that, right? And again, if you're looking at the exposure limit or the exposure this thing, the exposure table that I have shared earlier, right? Your exposure is minimal as an individual, which means the only taxes you'll be paying as an individual is personal income tax. If you go and open a company because of your remote job and all of that, you might not be exposed to other compliance and those sort of stuff. Except you probably you use it for something else. Like I've been explaining, it's easier to, should I say, maneuver with the personal income tax because you are the one to declare what your what's it called, uh, taxable income is, right? Nobody's going to tax the whole amount you are getting from your remote work. That's not really how it works in practice. So you just expect to go meet the tax man, and both of you look at, okay. Let's say you're making $20,000 per annum. They say, okay, this $20,000, how much will cover your expenses? You can say, okay, my expenses will take about 10,000, $5,000, right? Whatever is left, that is now what you declare as your taxable income, and they will apply a tax scale on it. That's why I said it's a bit um, more lenient, right? And the burden of proof is not really a lot compared to when you actually have a proper company. You actually now have to like have proper transactions, proof transactions, and all of that. And for a remote worker, it's only personal expenses you have in the real sense of it, right? So I would recommend that you stay and even as an individual, even in that one.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So for this, would you suggest that I see like a financial advisor or like a, you know, get someone who files? Do you do that? I'm
Yes,
not
I do
sure if
that.
you offer those.
Uh,
Okay.
that's why I got all
Okay,
the
so we can
experience now.
contact you direct.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, please, concerning the piggy vest, I just checked the money I invested on SafeLock about 2 years or a year ago. I didn't see anywhere they say tax because how it works in piggy vest when you SafeLock is you can put money down and say they pay you in 2 years. Take for instance, you probably SafeLock if 150,000. They'll probably just give you about, depending, I think for 2 years they give you 90,000. And instantly when you probably invest in piggyvest, they give you the 90,000 until the due date, they pay you. So going through the transaction that I did with them, I didn't see anything that has to say with tax. I hope they won't come after me later.
So even if they don't take that, it is their responsibility now. It's not your responsibility, right? They should be the one withholding tax for pay you interest. So, like I said, like it's obvious that before now, most people don't pay tax in Nigeria. That is why all of these things are the enforcement has increased. If they're not taking it now from next year, they'll probably have to adjust. If not, they will have to be paying tax on your behalf. And no company will want to do that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. I want to ask a question. I run a agricultural business, LLC. So I want to
Okay.
clarify something. If I hire a tractor services to come and plow my land, am I going
Mhm.
to deduct withholding tax for such transactions?
So withholding tax for tractor. I know you are not. They will not
Yeah,
charge
yes.
you VAT. Uh, for tractor, you might have to charge withholding tax. So. Wait, I think both the persons.
I will
So
have to charge
you
withholding
are.
tax.
Wait, I'm trying to. Let me. I just don't want to. Let me confirm something from. I have a table for this. This one
Okay,
coming
thank you.
in a minute.
Okay.
Let me not give you wrong advice and say, and I mean, I talk about.
Thank you very much.
Let me see.
Mm.
Okay, I don't have. Hey, I don't have withholding tax exemption. So I'm trying. So general contracts, right, attract
Yeah.
a withholding tax of 5%, right? So if you
Okay.
what I was trying to what's it called now? I know that that transaction does not attract value added tax, right? But
Yes. Yes.
since you are
Yes.
employing somebody to do it for you, then definitely it will attract withholding tax because you are getting a contractor to
Okay.
do that job for you, the service that they are rendering your business, right? Just like the
Okay.
same way non for profit we charge withholding tax, then yeah, you should charge withholding tax too.
Okay. Then same thing will apply to maybe I want to build a store. Then I call a bricklayer to come help me build a store. Am I going to the withholding tax will definitely be on his labor fees, not the materials now.
Yes, on the service charge.
Okay.
So
Okay.
then it depends on how you structure the invoice.
Okay.
If you don't have service charge separate, then it will be on the whole invoice.
It will have to be separate then. So the withholding tax will be on the service charge, not the cost of material.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm the one that will request it that way to reduce the
Make it
burden
easy,
of the
yeah.
withholding tax. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I think all my students they don't know book finish. I think it's safe to call it an evening or a night. And
Good evening, Samina.
oh, okay, there's one more person.
Yeah,
Good evening.
I don't really want to ask any question. Just speaking from what someone asked you earlier about sending you a private message. So I sent you a private message like some while back. I know you're busy, but I just wanted to put it out there.
Oh, okay. Today is Sunday now. I go chop food small.
No problem, sir. Whenever you get the chance, I just wanted to put it out there.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mena. You said you're going to share
Hello.
your bill, right?
Sorry. But
You said you're going to share your bill, right? Your
Yes.
charges.
My rate card. Yes, I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Have a lovely day.
Yeah, don't
And
good night. Wait, please. Let me ask one more question. I'm sorry.
okay.
Yes. Good evening.
Good
I
evening.
wanted to ask for local people that
don't have account numbers that do labor works, cleaning, sweeping for me. How do I charge withholding tax for those who it's not needed?
They do cleaning now. How much are you paying them? You are not. So that's personal
It
expenses
runs
now.
into hundreds of no, it's for my company. They do some cleaning, tying of things and
So it's
stuff,
withholding
packing
tax
of
now.
loads.
Withholding tax is their final tax. That's why
But
withholding tax
these
is the
people
final tax.
they are local people and they don't even agree to have account number, how much more TIN number gone. So how am I supposed to pay that withholding tax?
You pay it now, but just that you're not attaching it to any person. You pay it to the government. Now the thing is, if you don't pay it,
Okay.
you cannot claim that expense, especially since you own a
Okay.
company, right? You claim that expense. The
Yeah.
next thing they'll ask you is where is the withholding tax? So you have to pay it.
Okay.
So why they
Okay, how
might not
many percent would
understand it?
that be?
So for those kind of jobs, probably contract is 5% now, like I said, without other person.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I
Hello,
understand now.
Mr. Mena.
I'm good.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Mena.
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm the one that just asked question regarding VAT for my business. So the additional question I want to ask is, presently, the equipment that I use to do business is already up to the 25 million threshold. But the
25
returns
million,
that I get,
50 million.
25 million.
Okay.
But when I rented them out on a yearly basis, I don't meet up. The returns that I get on a yearly basis is not up to the 25 million.
I'm
So
lost.
I'm quite,
You have equipment. So your business is renting out equipment.
yes, renting out equipment, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the works
You are
of the
saying
equipment,
sometimes you don't meet the threshold, sometimes you meet the threshold.
yes.
So I
But the
will
works
say
of
it.
the
You said
equipment itself is over 25 million.
no. So if it's the equipment, you have to get over 250 million naira for you to be for equipment to be considered, right? And again, from next year it will be 50 million, not 25 million. So it's just this year that it is 25 million naira for VAT,
Okay.
right? So if you exceed 25 million naira this year, you might have to pay VAT, right? So that's
That's as
basically
profits from the equipment that I went out, not
not
as,
profit. Okay, yeah, not what?
is it as profit that I make on the rentage, on the rentals of the equipment?
No, so your rental value now, which is your turnover. So if you're renting one for 10,000 naira, right? That's your turnover. Is that 10,000 naira multiplied by the amount of total rentals or the amount of this that you had? So your total rental is your turnover. So if that money crosses 25 million, right, as of this year, you're supposed to pay 7.5% to the government.
But if it doesn't, that's what I'm saying.
You're
That
not supposed
most
to pay
times
anything.
it doesn't get up to 25
25
million.
million. Then you're
But
not owing the government.
client still charges me withholding tax whenever they rent the equipment out, which is why I'm also forced to charge them VAT.
And then charge them, but keep it in your savings account, like I said.
Okay, sir, okay.
So if in case at the end of the year you exceed, then you cannot pay.
Okay. But for the business, is it advisable to I switch to limited, or I should just be maintaining my
But another thing too, you
business
might
name?
want to be filing, because if you charge them VAT and you're not filing it and they discover, they might not say this on the chop our money.
Okay. So it's advisable that I should be filing as I get them, like based on the client basis,
Yeah, so you're
rather than
filing it
waiting till the
monthly.
ending of the month.
No, as long as you are collecting, especially for the ones that you're collecting and they are paying it to you, then you should file it. You've collected it, you should file it.
Okay.
So I'm saying maybe, for instance, now for those ones that you probably want to bear the cost, right? You might want to
Yeah.
actually find out if you are liable before you not bear cost.
Okay.
So
But for
just
the
file
okay.
for the ones that you're actually collecting, because if they check on their own end and they see that you're not filing it, it's not good.
But
It's
most
not a
times
good
they don't
reputation
send
for
me
you.
their own thing. They don't send me their thing. They just pay the total figure less withholding.
Okay. Uh, then maybe if you want to file for them, you might want to request for their team now so that you do it the right way.
Okay, and I'll also
It's just
be
a
able to follow up
recommendation,
with my own
unless you
with
don't want to
obligation
pay
from
it.
their end
If
too.
you don't, so if you don't want to pay it, right, or you don't, since they are just doing whatever they are doing, you can just keep it in a savings account like I advise. So that in case in the
Yeah.
future you actually exceed, then you can now, because if they are not bothered about sending you things, it means that they are not bothered about the records of their own VAT liability and the rest. But next year everybody will be bothered because they will want to claim it against their taxes, because you can claim the tax as an input tax to reduce your own
So
tax liability.
okay, sir. Just to be clear, sir, that means each VAT should be filed against each client's thing
Yes, yes,
rather than
yes,
doing a cumulative. Instead of doing a
yes.
cumulative figure.
Yeah, that's the idea. Unless you don't have the person's thing, then you can now file it without the thing.
Okay, because so far what I've been doing has always been a cumulative
That's
of
because you're not adding things to it. If you add things to it, you have
okay.
to file it with, even if the schedule you use, you sit in there now, but you're not putting
Yes.
any number. Uh-huh.
Okay,
You
okay,
can still
okay.
file it even without putting number, but you should.
Okay, because I was just doing it to have a tax footprint,
Exactly.
especially the VAT. Okay, okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Um. So that is it for the night. We're even almost done, so we just have like 10 minutes on our clock for the class to round up. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you guys for our last class on Thursday. Good night.
Good night.